Imagine this. You're sitting perfectly still, doing absolutely nothing. No meditation, no affirmations, no effort. And yet, your entire being begins to hum with an invisible energy. Your thoughts slow. Your body lightens. The air around you feels charged, as if the universe itself is leaning in to whisper a secret. Here's the paradox. You weren't trying to change anything. You weren't chasing happiness or forcing positivity. So why does it feel like you've stumbled into a hidden dimension of existence? One where peace isn't earned, but simply remembered. What if everything you've been taught about raising your vibrations is backwards? What if the relentless pursuit of higher frequencies through rituals, routines, and mental gymnastics is the very thing keeping you stuck? The modern spiritual industrial complex sells you on doing more journaling, more visualizing, more striving. But what if the real magic lies in doing less? Think of the last time you felt truly at peace. Was it because you achieved serenity? Or because you stopped fighting for it? The mind rebels at this idea. It insists effort equals reward. But what if the universe operates on a different law? What if elevation isn't about climbing, but about letting go of the weight? This is the silent war beneath all human suffering, the addiction to effort, the terror of stillness. We'll expose its roots, how society, psychology, and even spirituality have conspired to keep you chasing what can only be found when you cease the chase. But first, why does doing nothing feel so dangerous? And what happens when you dare to try? The resistance you feel to doing nothing isn't accidental, it's engineered. From birth, you've been conditioned to believe worth is tied to productivity, that stillness is laziness, and that enlightenment must be earned. But what if this is the oldest lie of all? Carl Jung warned of the collective shadow, the unconscious beliefs that dictate reality without our consent. One of its most insidious scripts: you are not enough as you are. So you hustle, optimize, and self-improve, hoping one day you'll deserve peace. Nietzsche saw this too, calling it the ascetic ideal, the perverse glorification of struggle, as if suffering itself were sacred. Modern neuroscience reveals the cruel irony. The brain interprets constant striving as threat, flooding your system with cortisol, anchoring you in low-frequency survival mode. The very effort to raise your vibrations becomes a self-sabotaging loop, like trying to smooth water by smashing it with your hands. Aldous Huxley saw this trap in Brave New World, a society so addicted to distraction that silence felt like torture. Jean-Paul Sartre called it bad faith, the act of pretending you're not already free. Even ancient Eastern traditions whisper the truth. You are the sky. The clouds, thoughts, efforts, identities are the illusion. Yet here's the psychological twist. The ego feeds on effort. It thrives in the drama of pursuit. To stop doing, to simply be, feels like death to the false self you've worked so hard to build. This is why meditation triggers panic in so many. Not because stillness is empty, but because it's full of everything you've been running from. The question isn't how to raise your vibrations. It's why do you believe they're low? Who benefits from that story? The answer will unravel everything. Because what if the deepest frequencies aren't out there, but buried under layers of conditioned noise? And what happens when you stop drowning them out? Silence is the mirror the modern world refuses to face. Because in that silence, the machinery of your conditioning is exposed. The gears of not enough grinding endlessly. The conveyor belt of more, better, faster, still running on autopilot. But the most dangerous realization? You were never the one operating it. Cognitive science reveals a brutal truth. The brain defaults to familiar suffering over unfamiliar peace. It's called homeostasis, a biological loyalty to your current vibration, no matter how painful. This is why positive thinking often fails. You're not fighting a mindset. You're fighting millions of years of evolutionary wiring that equates stillness with vulnerability. Cultural conditioning compounds the trap. Social media algorithms profit from your self-doubt. The wellness industry needs you to believe you're broken. Even spiritual circles sell bypassing under the guise of high vibrations, as if transcendence were a product rather than your birthright. Viktor Frankl saw through this. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. But what if that change begins with stopping? The consequences are everywhere. Burnout masquerading as purpose. Anxiety disguised as ambition. The constant hum of, I should be doing something, vibrating beneath every quiet moment. You've been taught to distrust ease, to pathologize rest. But nature doesn't struggle to bloom. It surrenders to the sun. Here's the neurological rebellion. When you do nothing, the default mode network, the brain's autopilot, collapses. In that void, something extraordinary awakens. Studies on resting state, fMRI, show it. The brain in deliberate stillness fires with the same coherence as advanced meditators. The paradox? The less you interfere, the higher you rise. But this terrifies the old paradigm. Because if peace requires no effort, what happens to the empires built on your self-rejection? The final rebellion isn't adding, it's subtracting. And the key lies in a force so obvious, you've been trained to ignore it. The revolution begins with a single act of defiance, doing nothing on purpose. Not as escapism, but as sacred sabotage, a strike against the inner machinery that equates worth with effort. This is the counterintuitive truth. The highest vibrations aren't achieved. They're uncovered by ceasing to dampen them. Try this radical experiment. For the next 60 seconds, don't try to relax. Don't monitor your breath. Don't spiritualize the moment. Simply be as you would if you were already whole. Notice what happens, the immediate resistance and mental screens of, this is wasting time. That panic isn't yours. It's the death rattle of an old identity that fed on your striving. The practice is simple, but devastating. 1. Stop measuring your spiritual progress. Metrics are the ego's last stand. 2. Cancel the inner coach, whispering, you should be doing this better. 3. Let exhaustion win, not into sleep, but into awake surrender. The instant you stop trying to change what you are, the entire illusion collapses. And what remains is so simple, so ordinary, so breathtakingly obvious, it will laugh through your tears when you realize it was here all along. The journey ends where it began. Nowhere, everywhere, home.